Can you believe it? Here I am at 78, talking openly with you about a topic that used to be locked up tighter than Fort Knox. When I was young, discussions like these? No chance. Topics like sex, or even how often someone might reach the finish line? Completely off limits, hidden under layers of silence and shame. But times have changed, and thank goodness they have. Today, we can approach these conversations openly, comfortably, and with the respect they deserve. And honestly, learning about the body never goes out of style. I've always been a curious soul, and when I saw this topic popping up everywhere, I thought, why not discuss it? Do people truly understand how much this affects health? Sexuality, whether you're young or older, is a core part of who we are, and its impact goes way beyond just one age group. Now, before we dive too deep, let me ask you this. Have you ever considered the effects that ejaculation has on the body? And I don't just mean the action itself, I'm talking about the whole package: physical, emotional, even mental health. Most people only associate it with a brief moment of pleasure, but believe me, it's more complex than that. Maybe you're even wondering right now, is it okay to, every day? Or could it actually have a downside for my health? And what happens if I decide to abstain? These aren't new questions. They've lingered for years, sometimes shrouded in myths and old wives' tales. I remember when I was younger, hearing that if a man spent his energy, he'd lose vitality. Some folks believed you could hoard that energy like a savings account. Today, though, we understand the human body a bit better. It's resilient, adaptive, and far smarter than we often give it credit for. Still, science is constantly uncovering new insights, especially about how this act, or the lack of it, can influence different facets of our health. But here's what's fascinating: it's not just about pleasure. It's about things like longevity, emotional equilibrium, even reducing risks for certain diseases. So, let's pause for a moment. How do you perceive your body and your own sense of sexuality? How comfortable are you with this conversation? After living for 78 years, if there's one thing I've realized, it's that knowledge is a kind of freedom. And when we're talking about health, sexual health included, it's never too late to learn. Let's shift gears a bit to a subject that might sound distant but deserves attention: prostate health. This tiny gland plays a huge role in a man's life, and yes, it's tied to our very question: can frequent ejaculation actually promote health? You see, science, as curious as I am, decided to dig into this. Researchers have found that for some men, maintaining an active sex life isn't just about instant gratification, it could actually support prostate health. But how, you ask? Think about it. The prostate is responsible for producing part of the fluid that carries and protects sperm. So, when there's regular activity, this fluid is continually produced and expelled. Now, consider if things just sat there, stagnant, for extended periods. There's actually some research suggesting that this may not be ideal for health. Fascinating, isn't it? So, let's get into this fascinating connection between how often a man, finishes, and his risk of prostate issues, including prostate cancer. According to research, guys who make it a habit to release more frequently throughout the month may actually be adding a layer of protection against prostate disease. There's even a specific number that comes up in some studies: those who ejaculate over 21 times per month are thought to have a lower risk of developing prostate cancer. The logic here is pretty straightforward. When you keep things flowing regularly, you're less likely to let harmful substances accumulate. By clearing out these fluids, it appears that frequent ejaculation can help prevent inflammation and other conditions that could eventually lead to cancer. Studies that compared prostate cancer rates across men with different levels of sexual activity showed that those who stayed more active were less likely to face this disease. But it's not just about flushing things out. This frequency is also linked to an increase in beneficial compounds, like antioxidants, that can protect those sensitive prostate cells. The studies here really shine a light on how regular sexual activity may be more than just enjoyable, it might actually be a tool for long-term health. Now, don't get me wrong, health isn't only about one habit. Diet, exercise, and even your genes all play a part. But it does make you think, doesn't it? Plus, let's be honest, that post-release wave of calm isn't just in your head. When you ejaculate, your body releases hormones like prolactin and oxytocin, which are known for giving you that deep sense of relaxation and balance. This feeling of peace has a ripple effect on overall health, too. Once the body lets go of those built-up tensions, it naturally tends to function better. And then, there's another layer to this whole conversation: aging. Our bodies evolve over time, and so do our hormones. But keeping an active sex life can help maintain not just physical well-being but also vitality. Now, that doesn't mean everyone needs to pursue a wild sex life. The main point here is understanding that sexual health is one piece of a bigger picture and it comes to overall well-being. Before you start setting a schedule, let's remember that there's no one-size-fits-all frequency. What works for one person might not suit another. The idea here is more about letting the body work naturally. Doing so might offer benefits that stretch beyond fleeting pleasure. But what if someone decides to hold back and not release as often? Could this cause problems? Let's take a closer look at that idea. Seminal retention is essentially the choice to avoid ejaculation during sex or even over longer periods. Some guys do this intentionally, hoping to conserve their physical, mental, or spiritual energy, or maybe even to boost their long-term sexual performance. But does it actually work, or is it just another modern-day trend? I get that this might sound unusual to many, after all, in today's society. Now, in a world that often promotes instant gratification, it's rare to hear about the possible benefits of not, well, finishing. But believe me, this idea has some devoted fans. These folks insist that by holding back, they feel more energetic, focused, and even more in tune with their masculinity. But here's the real question: does science back this up, or are we just looking at another passing trend? Honestly, the research is still evolving. Most of what we know about the benefits of seminal retention is based on personal stories. Some men report feeling sharper mentally, less drained, and even more motivated when they cut down on frequency. They claim it helps them stay alert and productive. But on the flip side, some doctors argue that holding back too long can lead to discomfort, tension, or even unexpected releases during sleep. Yes, the body has its ways of balancing things out. There's also an emotional side to consider. For some men, retention feels empowering, like a form of self-control. For others, it can lead to frustration, anxiety, and extra tension. It's a fine line, and it's really about what makes you feel good. At the end of the day, if a practice causes more stress than satisfaction, is it truly worth it? This debate around retention keeps drawing attention. Some guys see it as a way to detach from society's pressures around sexuality. Others think it'll help them control their impulses and emotions better in the long run. The key takeaway here? It's essential to know your own body and find what truly works for you. There's no universal answer. For some, retaining brings clarity. For others, a regular release brings balance. Listen to your body's cues, respect your own pace, and prioritize what makes you feel healthy and fulfilled. Now that we've explored both sides, frequency versus retention, let's talk about something crucial: finding harmony between body and mind. This might be the trickiest part because sometimes what benefits the body doesn't necessarily align with the mind's needs, and vice versa. When it comes to sexual health and frequency, that balance is fundamental. Regular ejaculation can relieve stress, boost prostate health, improve sleep quality, and even enhance your mood, thanks to hormones like oxytocin and prolactin that leave you feeling calm and content. But too much can lead to physical fatigue, dips in testosterone, and emotional burnout. On the other hand, retention promises increased energy, sharper focus, and emotional control, but can also cause tension and discomfort if overdone. In short, both options have their ups and downs. The real magic is finding the rhythm that feels right for your body and mind, embracing what brings you balance and satisfaction in your sexual and emotional health. So here's the big question: what's your experience? Have you noticed how your body responds in different scenarios? Are you curious to learn more about how sexual health can shape your overall well-being? My advice: live with wisdom, love, and respect for yourself. Whatever path you choose, do it for you, not because someone says it's right or wrong. After all these years, that's one lesson I've held on to, and I hope it brings you clarity too. If you found this conversation intriguing, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay connected with this journey. Share this video with someone you think might benefit, and let us know your thoughts in the comments, where you're tuning in from, what resonated with you, or even what you want to explore next. And if you're eager to dive deeper, stick around. A link to our next video will pop up on your screen. Continue this journey with us, learning more about optimizing sexual health naturally and simply. See you there.